New Zealand's temperatures are about to drop. Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us for our Tuesday weather update for October the 4th. And the Antarctic blast is still on its way and expected to reach the lower South Island across this afternoon and then move up and across New Zealand tonight and tomorrow, followed by the main pulse of very cold air, which comes through on Wednesday and Thursday night. So it's about 48 hours before it finally starts to move away. And when it does move away, one of the drivers for this southerly is this big area of high pressure, and that's going to bring us a frosty end to the week and a mostly sunny and dry settled start to the weekend. So it's not all bad news. Let's take a look at the animated wind map. You can see the beginning of this polar blast right off Antarctica, off the ice sheets. This is going to come straight into the New Zealand area across Wednesday and Thursday, but the beginning of the cold front, this is it right here, moving into the lower South Island as we go through Tuesday afternoon. And over in Australia, a rainmaker, which we're going to produce another video about because this is actually quite an interesting setup as well. But we've got to talk about New Zealand and the cold change. That's really the main focus. So this is the nationwide snapshot for the next, well, it says 3 days ahead, but really it's just Wednesday and Thursday, maybe a little bit tonight as well. What you're seeing is the heaviest snow down here around northern Southland and the southern ranges of central Otago. So that's where the bulk of the snow is. You're talking about 20 to 30 centimetres in that area. Now lower down, the snow totals drop right off. So we switch to another map so we can get a bit more detailed. Two maps. These are both available from the Weather Watch and Rural Weather websites as well. If you want to take a closer look in the last news story, have a look there. But you can see here, we're talking about the heavy stuffs around the purple. So heavy snow up here in the hills and also around Kingston. But once you go south of there, the snow totals start to drop right off as you head towards the coastline where it's just a little bit warmer. Not to say that it won't snow at all in Invercargill, but it's not likely to be much if it does, and it's certainly not likely to settle for long. This is only the next 24 hours though. The other map we showed you takes you through to Thursday. This only takes us through until Wednesday morning. So this is going to change over the next couple of days, and it will expand further out towards the coastlines as it does so. But here is the first snapshot through until 8 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday. All right, let's take a look at Wednesday lunchtime, a couple of hours later, and you can see why it's going to be cold. So here is Antarctica, this southerly coming straight up. And, you know, I saw a Met Service forecaster yesterday saying something which was a very good point. These southerlies often come off Antarctica, but the westerly winds usually knock them away off to our east. That's not happening because of this blocking high. So this is going to encourage the southerly. Not to compare the 2011 snowstorm when it snowed up in Auckland and Northland, but one comparison I will make is that the high out over Tasmania and the low pressure off to the southeast of New Zealand, very similar setup. That's what helps produce these big southerlies. So very cold, and that cold air going right up into the North Island as we go through Wednesday. By the end of Thursday, or at least Thursday afternoon, that blue line, which indicates the air thickness, showing that the cold change is taking a big bite out of the atmosphere. This is what Thursday looks like. So wintry on the eastern side, bit hard to see, but most of the South Island's actually dry. You can see showers, snow flurries in Southland and Otago, but once you go into Canterbury, it's mostly coastal only. Then you go into the North Island, and that's where we'll see a mix of rain, sleet, and some rain-snow mix to low levels around Wairarapa and Wellington and some parts of Hawke's Bay. And then you go further north, the snow goes up the ranges, but just a few showers. There might be a few snow flurries around Mount Te Aroha and the Coromandel Peninsula ranges early on Thursday morning. Won't be much, but if you can see the slips up there, sometimes you can see a little bit of white on there. So let's go towards the frost map, because I told you about that big high pressure zone coming in. Well, this is how we look. As you wake up on Friday morning, the areas in purple show the frost risks. The South Island certainly looking very frosty. The North Island also seeing those frosts expand up into places like Bay of Plenty. So the Kiwifruit orchards will be watching that very closely. Hopefully any frost in these northern areas are pretty light, and same story with some eastern areas. I know you don't really want frost if you've got a vineyard, for example, at the moment. So the setup looks like this as we go into the weekend. Friday sees this big high rolling in. Still a couple of showers in the east, still very cold in the east, but those in the north and the west might just notice a couple of degrees coming back in the warmth. Similar story down there in Southland. Plenty of rain going on over there in Australia. Now this weekend, the high crosses over us frosty, fine, settled weather. Should be beautiful. And then the nor'west is just starting to pick up. That lifts a bit more rain into your forecast. And then our final map for Sunday shows high pressure sliding away from us, the easterlies starting to return to northern areas, and they'll come around as a northerly elsewhere. Stormy system out here over Australia. We are producing another video about this today, but as you can see on the map here, we're talking about 90 to 100 millimeters out in some very dry areas. You're sort of on the edge of the deserts, but still an area where a lot of people farm. And so this is going to be an interesting setup. There could be some flooding around Australia. So check out our Australian video, which is also coming out today. But that's all from me for now. We will see you again on Wednesday in the middle of the cold blast for our next update. See you then.